So today we're going to get into how to create these daily habits that will turn into your routine. Ultimately, this routine that you're looking for gets built by small daily habits. Forgive me while I pull up my notes really quick so I stay on track. What we're going to cover today is the science behind building habits because it doesn't just accidentally work. Like there is a reason habits work. There's a reason we get into bad habits and good habits. And there's also a reason that once you get started and can stick to it, you end up continuing on a little bit longer than if you just do these one-off things. We're going to talk about techniques for developing new habits and breaking bad ones, and also how to create a habit loop that reinforces this routine that you're really trying to build. The thing is, the key to building habits is repetition. We know that, right? We've all heard this takes 21 days to build a habit. The reason is because this repeat behavior over and over again, it becomes easier and it becomes more automatic. It's because our brain starts forming these neural pathways and it connects the cue to the behavior. The cue can be anything from your alarm going off. And maybe your cue right now is your alarm going off and your cue is like, ugh, snooze, whatever. Or maybe it's your alarm goes off and you go to the bathroom, right? Whatever it is, it's the next behavior that happens when the behavior before it. For example, if you wanted to develop this habit of exercising every day, you might start by setting a time for your workout and doing it every day at the exact same time. Over time, your brain starts associating that time of day with working out. That's why when you get in the habit of working out every morning, it's easier to continue. And listen, somebody that struggles getting up in the morning, it's a struggle for me too. But my brain knows when I'm up, and I know what comes next. It just starts happening almost by accident. Maybe your cue for working out, if you're trying to get into a workout routine in the mornings, are just a non-negotiable. I actually had a client once that would put her shoes on when she got home from work. She would get home from work, she would change into her workout clothes and her tennis shoes, and that was her cue. She knew she was going to drink her pre-workout and then start working out, right? It makes it easier to stick to your routine when you have those cues. And here's the thing, developing new habits and breaking bad ones is the hardest part, right? And even saying those things makes it feel challenging. That's why, we're trying to get back to it. We're trying to restart this thing, right? So here are my best tips, especially after dealing with women for 5.5 years in the fitness industry, what works for them and what I've seen work over and over and over again. Okay. Start small. I know it's in our nature that when we start this new workout routine, we want to do all of the things, but that requires us to get up early, to start eating differently, to start meal prepping, to start working out, to start doing all of this stuff. And that's where it starts feeling really overwhelming. And if we feel like we have to do all of the things, that's that perfectionist mindset. We feel like we have to do all of the things. It starts making the task of starting feel really hard. And that's why we put off starting. But if you just tell yourself, I'm just going to make one change at a time, and maybe your one change at a time is replacing your afternoon soda with a green tea or a water, or maybe it's, the one thing that you start is waking up and stretching for 15 minutes, right? It doesn't need to be all of the things. The smaller it is, and if it's 10 or 15 minutes at a time, the easier you will find it to even want to get started. The other thing is use positive reinforcement. Use positive reinforcement. Reward yourself for sticking to your new habit. It could be something as simple as giving yourself the permission to take a bubble bath on Saturday night. It could be like, I've been eyeing this purse and I stuck to my workouts for 3 weeks. I'm going to freaking do this. But give yourself something to reward yourself, right? I hesitate in the health and fitness space of saying like, reward yourself with the pizza or the ice cream or whatever, because I do believe, just my ideas maybe, that I'm not a huge fan of restricting our nutrition in all of the ways, right? That goes back to this like all or nothing mindset that I try and get away from. But maybe it's giving yourself a pedicure. Maybe it's, something that's beneficial to you, that's like a treat to you that maybe you don't do all of the time. Making it a routine. I know. That's what we're all here for, right? But when you schedule in your new habit at the same time every day, that's when it becomes a routine, right? So if you're trying to start working out again, you will find it will come easier to you to stick with it. Instead of working out in the morning sometimes, in the afternoon sometimes, make it the same time every day. You are developing that cue that triggers your brain to know what comes next, right? A really big piece for anything. I know I'm in this fitness category, so I stay there, but it's tracking your progress. And, you can track your progress in a journal, in an app. I'm a really big fan of providing my clients with habit trackers. It helps you stay motivated. And it might sound counterintuitive if you maybe get to the end of the day. And I'm somebody that I come from the sales world, and using a tracker and seeing empty gaps in my day or missed check marks, it made me feel really anxious, thinking like, oh, great, I just didn't do the things. Here's what I will say. As you're tracking your progress, pay more attention to the things that you're doing right than the things that you're doing wrong. There's this book, what is his last name? His first name's Dan. It's called The Gap and the Gain. But focusing on your small daily wins, the things that you're making progress on versus the gap where what you should be doing, could be doing, how far away you are from your goal. Those are the things that like pull us out of continuing to make progress, because we just should talk ourselves, right? Like I could go into a whole spiel about, and I'm going to talk about it on the back half of this week, about the thoughts that we have and how they trigger us to stop making progress. They trigger us to, stop taking action on things. So really pay attention to, the thoughts that you're telling yourself, but back to start with tracking your progress, because what that will allow you to do is it takes the emotion out of the progress that you're making, and you're just looking at data. Right? And often we're doing more than we think we are. We are probably making more progress than we realize. The other thing that really helps, especially in a new habit, is surrounding yourself with people that are doing the same thing that you are. In the fitness space, it's really easy to join an accountability group or message thread, or, go to the gym with a friend, in, a different kind of routine space where you're trying to get into the routine of working on a project. Connect with somebody that's in that space, that's maybe a step or two ahead of you, that knows it's going to be hard, that knows there's going to be days that you just don't want to do it, right? Those are the days that you need support. It's not for the days that you're crushing it and you're motivated. It's for the days that you're not motivated. And I hate to break it to you, it doesn't matter how good your routine is and how much you are crushing it. You're not always going to be motivated to show up and to do the things. That's where routine benefits you the most, right? The next piece of your habits is one at a time, replacing bad habits with good ones. So instead of just trying to like stop drinking wine at night, stop drinking wine and start drinking your nighttime tea or something, right? Where you're taking one thing out and you're adding one thing in, or instead of your nightly ice cream bowl that you're trying to like rein in your nutrition, maybe go for a walk after dinner or whatever, right? Like it doesn't have to mean that you're taking all of these things away. If you're taking something away that you love, replace it with something else that you can learn to love if you don't love it in the moment, right? The best way to do this is to create a habit loop. And a habit loop, the reason that the habit loop is so important is because it reinforces this routine that you're developing and it makes it stick. So here's the process, right? Is you identify the cue. We talked about that at the beginning of this. The cue is that trigger that initiates your routine. So your alarm goes off and you get up and you know exactly what you're doing next. And you're going to slowly, one habit at a time, start building onto that. That's called habit stacking. Then from there, you slowly start developing your routine. That routine is a behavior that you're trying to master, right? Maybe it's you want to do the 30-minute workout every morning. Maybe it's you want to start journaling. Maybe it's you just want to head to work and feel calm and you need that 30-minute gap in your morning. Whatever it is, make it that daily habit and establish your reward. The reward, remember, is that thing that reinforces the behavior that makes it feel good. You do your morning routine all week, give yourself something to look forward to on Friday and then repeat it. The key in the beginning, right, is to continue to repeat this so that we are training our brain to go on autopilot to do the things that we know are good for us, right? It feels easier to sit on the sofa after work instead of going to the gym. I know it. I know it. It feels easier to hit snooze than getting up early and writing in your journal. But which one is going to serve you better? Right? And don't forget to track your progress because tracking it allows you at the end of the week, like we talked about yesterday in scheduling, to figure out how did this feel and what could I do differently? Could I switch some things around? Is this really serving me how I wanted to? Could I do something else in place? This is what will help you reinforce your routine. It will help you stick to the habits, and those routines and habits are what will help you get to the goals that you're really trying to get to, right? Start small, be consistent, and stay motivated by focusing on those rewards that you give yourself at the end of every week.